Am I seeing things? Is this reality? Did Gon just become a grown man? He literally got his Yu-Gi-Oh on. He became a grown man and beat the living hell out of Pitou. If this is not the best episode of Hunter x Hunter by far, I don't know what is. So the end of last week's episode was basically just a setup for this week's episode, which, as I'll call it, I think I'll call it Pitou's epic ass whooping. That's what I'll call it. Poof lied to Pitou. Poof is basically like, look, we have Komugi back in our possession, so you don't have to worry about Gon. Just go ahead and kill him. Everything's under control. Don't worry about him. Kill him and come back and we're all good. You know, and of course, Pitou was going to believe what Poof says because they're both royal guards. So Pitou was like, okay, well, everything's back under control. We got Komugi. Okay, Gon, I'm sorry you got to die. I care about the king. I don't care about you. So you got to go. Even though I absolutely hate Poof, I have to admit that I like him. He's clever. He's diabolical. He is a very smart character. Even though I hate him, I have to admit that he is a good character. He makes a good villain. He really makes a good villain. So Poof admitted to Killua later on that basically, I lied to Pitou, your friend is about to die, good luck with that, basically. So then Killua realized, like, nothing's holding Pitou back from killing Gon. And we all, well, at that point we thought that Gon pretty much had no chance against Pitou. But all of us were wrong, and Gon pretty much beat the living hell out of Pitou, obviously. That music that came on when Pitou was basically like, I'm sorry, I have to kill you for the king, it literally gave me chills. Gon was basically like, look, not only did you kill my friend, but you lied to me on top of that and said you were going to save him, but you knew you really couldn't. Screw all that. So Gon, I'm thinking, I guess he used all of his potential energy, all of his life force, he built it all up and just pushed his growth and pushed his body to the point where he reached his potential. And he basically was on the same level as the king. That whole situation where Pitou was talking about, you know, Gon using his life energy and life force to basically reach his potential faster than what he normally would have. It reminded me of an episode of Yu Yu Hakusho where he was fighting, I think he was fighting a Saint Beast, and I think he was trying to save Kuwabara. I can't remember, but yeah, that whole situation reminded me of Yu Yu Hakusho. Well, basically Gon, he built up all of his life energy, his life force, and he just pushed his body to the limits, and he reached his potential. And as Pitou said, he was probably as strong as the king at that point because he used up everything that he had. All of his potential that he could use, he used it. When Gon kicked Pitou, I was like, oh my god, did he break his spine? Did he break his spine? You saw when he came back down, he was just flying around, flailing just uncontrollably. And I'm thinking to myself, did he break his spine? Like, cause I mean, this guy's pretty powerful. He probably could find a way to, you know, balance himself out. But he was just falling crazy. And I was thinking, like, did he break his spine? Pitou says something like, Gon will never be able to use Nen after this. And I'm thinking to myself, is this true? I mean, I guess it could be true because Gon used up all his potential energy, all of his life force, so he wouldn't have anything left. He probably sealed his own Nen, you know, trying to reach his full potential. And so I'm thinking, like, what is he going to do? How is he going to get his Nen back? Obviously, because, you know, the series continues after this. So it has me curious about what's going to happen. I think that Pitou was actually happy to be killed by Gon because he was fighting an opponent that was willing to give everything, all of his life energy, all of his life potential, everything that he had just to beat him. And I think Pitou was more or less happy that he was able to be beaten by an opponent that was just thirsty. He wanted to win. He didn't care. He was willing to sacrifice everything, his whole entire life, all of his potential, just to beat him. And I think that really made, in a sense, it made Pitou happy. Because it was almost like, I'm fighting an opponent that's worthy, and I'm getting beat, and I'm going to get killed by somebody that's worthy. Gon beat the shit out of Pitou. I mean, the part where he used his rock and he just kept hitting him in his head until there was nothing left but just a smudged puddle of blood. I was just like, wow, this is ridiculous. I mean, this fight was like on some Dragon Ball Z type stuff. You know, huge explosions, people getting beat to death. And this episode really gave us a chance to really see how dedicated and how strong the connection is between the royal guards and the king. Pitou, even though Pitou was dead, Pitou was literally dead and still fighting. Pitou was literally dead and still fighting Gon. His devotion to the king was so strong that his body was like, you know what? Even though we're dead, even though it's over, I'm coming back and I'm still going to fight. And to me, that was ridiculous, and that's crazy, because like, how can you beat somebody like that? That even after you kill them, they come back to life and they're still going. Well, it wasn't even a come back to life situation. He was dead, and his body was just, I don't even know, on autopilot, just trying to kill Gon. A lot of people call him bullshit on this episode, saying basically it was an ass pull. Gon shouldn't, it's impossible for Gon to reach the level of the king just by getting upset and getting angry because, you know, Kite died. But I like it. I like the idea that Gon was so angry, so upset that he dug into his own body and used all of his potential energy and all of his life force just to kill Pitou. I actually like that. I like the concept. I like the concept of that idea. I don't think it was an ass pull. I'm not calling bullshit on that. I actually like the idea of him doing that, because I feel like it shows how serious and how devoted that he was, how much he cared about Kite, really. Kite was his friend, you know. Pitou lied to him, and Gon, he just had enough. He used everything he had, all of his emotions, all of his strengths, all of his, everything he had, everything that his life force contained to, you know, push his body to the limit, to a point where he was like decades, it would take decades for him to get to this level, but he pushed his body to the limit so fast and so far that he was able to reach a level on that of the king's. And I think that, I like the idea. I thought it was pretty good. And then towards the end of the episode, where Pitou was basically on autopilot, as I'll call it, and he was still trying to kill Gon, and around that time Kahlua showed up, and he was like basically looking at Gon like, what happened to you? Is this still my friend? Who are you? But Pitou came around and he basically tore off Gon's arm, and it just went downhill from that. My favorite part of this episode was when Gon got his arm ripped off, and he basically took it out the air, and he basically shoved it through Pitou's chest, and he just, you know, set up his rock. And this was a good episode. This was a good episode. I give it a 10 out of 10. I give it 5 stars. This was probably one of the best episodes I've seen. So I have a question for you guys. Do you think that Gon is going to be able to use Nen again? Because as we saw in this episode, he pretty much reached his limit. He's at his full potential. He pushed himself so far that his Nen is probably at its highest point that it'll ever be. Do you think that he'll be able to use Nen again? Do you think it's going to be sealed off? Do you even think he's going to survive this? Do you think he's dead? Let me know. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to my channel. Look out for more videos. I'm going to be doing more reviews